Hey, hi, welcome back to what I hope will be a quick little video about tweens. I wanted to make this separate to the main series because it's a very short topic and I think we can cover it in a separate video. So what are tweens? Tweens are used to go from one value to the other smoothly. So basically the problem that I want to solve is that when we have our player here, the cat, and I press right, then it just appears, just teleports to the new position. But I would like it to go there smoothly. So let's see how we can do that. Now, actually, before we get into tweens, I want to add a quick quality of life improvement. I have been getting quite annoyed by having to go to the game window and then basically going down to the taskbar to close it. So I will create a new event, or I will listen to a new event, and this is going to be UI cancel, which is the escape key by default. And if we press this, then I want to quit the game. So this is done by doing get tree. This is basically the whole scene tree. And there is something called quit, I think. So now if I restart and I press escape, then the window closes. So much simpler. Now let's get on to tweens. To use tweens, first of all, I want to set up a state. This is so that we can avoid creating a new movement while a movement is already in progress. So I'm going to make it so that my player character can only be in one state at a time. And for now, we'll just use a simple string, just this piece of text, and it's called idle. When we are moving, we can set this to moving and make sure that we don't start another tween while we are moving. And now I want to create another function. So this will be like process and ready, but this will be defined by ourselves and we will have to call it ourselves as well. And this is going to be called moved to. And this will take in an argument called target position. We will give this when we call it. And here we want to create a new tween, and we're going to store this in the tween variable. So var tween equals create tween. And it's as simple as that. Now on the tween, we will use the tween, the interpolate, no, it's the tween property callback. So this takes in, as you can see, I'll make this a bit bigger. This takes in 4 arguments: the object that we want to tween, the property that we want to tween, the final value that it is going to tween to, and the amount of time in seconds that it will take to get there. So we want this to happen on the cat, so we're going to put in self. This is a property that every object has in code, and it just refers to the object itself. The property that we want to tween will be global position. It needs to be a string, I think. Don't quote me on that. The final value will be the target position, and the amount of time will be, let's say, 200 milliseconds, so 0.2 seconds. Also, I want to do this only if state is equal to idle, and move this into the if statement. And as the very first thing, I want to set state to, let's call it moving. So this is not a very good state machine, but it'll get the job done for now. And it's a bit simpler to understand than the other implementations that I've seen. So let's see. Tween property. And this should already do something, I think. And one final thing, we will use a signal. I will try and explain signals a bit more deeply later on, But for now, just know that objects emit certain signals based on certain events. And these are useful to because then we can react these events. So the tween, for example, has a signal called finished, which, as the name implies, is emitted or called when this thing here has reached the final position that we defined. And this will take in another function that will be called when this happens. So we can call this move to finished. And now we have to create this function. And in this function, the only thing that we want to do is to set the state to idle again, because now we are ready to take in another move. So now this won't do anything because we're not using these functions yet, but we will change that right now. So in the process, I want to create a new variable called target. And this will be equal to global position at the outset. And now here, instead of modifying global position directly, I want to modify the target. So this is going to be target x, and now target x. Now, if the target has changed, so if target not equals global position, I want to move to the target. And now this should work. So let's try. Perfect. And now if I try to press right very quickly, then it should move only once. Hard to test because the amount of time that it takes to get there is so small. So if I set this to 2.0 instead, it needs to be a point because it's a float. Again, won't go into the difference there at the moment. But now it should take 2 seconds to get there. And if I press right again, or indeed anything else, then nothing happens. So that's good. And while we're already talking about tweens, I think I will add a bit more, visual effects, and I will also create a scale tween. So this will be, again, just a tween. I will copy this, and this will scale the scale property of the sprite. So the scale is just how large the sprite is. If we go to the 2D editor, and I need to hit the inspector, and we find the scale under the transform. So if I would increase this x, then it just makes it bigger in the x direction. Currently this is tied, so they are always going to be the same, but they could, in theory, also be different. So to create a sort of procedural animation almost, or just a sense of movement, I'm going to make the sprite a bit bigger so that it looks like almost that it is like hopping towards the target position. So I will do 0.1 because I want this to be half of what the movement tween is. So maybe we can just go and define a constant move duration 0.2. Now if we go back, we can use that here, move duration, and this can be move duration divided by 2. And this will now be a vector 2, and I'm going to set it to 1.2, 1.2, keeping in mind that the default or the starting value is 1.0. And now I want to copy this line and I want to put it back to 1.0. 1.0. So now I want it to go to basically become a bit bigger and then get smaller again. Okay, not quite right. Oh, okay, this is because I kept the old tween. Here, this needs to be scale tween, so make this scale tween. And now I'm going to run it. And now it becomes a little bit bigger, and then it goes back to the regular size. And I think this looks a bit nicer. So great. I think that's it. We have used tweens in Godot 4. So thank you very much for joining, and see you again very soon.